Hello and welcome to Saturday Night Crafting. I'm sorry this video is late tonight. It's Saturday night, I'm having my glass of wine and I'm a bit late. Last weekend we had a play with the gel plates and made a whole ton of prints. And this weekend and next weekend is going to be about what on earth do we do with all of them. So I know that we can get really overwhelmed really quickly. When we make a ton of backgrounds, we can get really into it, we can have loads of fun, we can make tons of prints, and then we go, what on earth do I do? Other than give them to the kids or the grandkids or donate them, what do? So here's a quick recap. These are all the ones that I made last weekend for Saturday Night Crafting. That video is linked here, hopefully in the top right corner, as well as in the description box. So if you want to check it out, please do click that link and check it out. All the products that I used in that video are in that description box below. All the products I'm using tonight in this video will hopefully be in the description box below, but please do message if I forget something or it's not there and you want to figure out where it is. But I do have a lot of products in this video that I have not, that are not available anymore. So I'm really sorry, but I want us to make the most of what we've got in our stash. So I'm going to give you tips and tricks along the way of what you can use in your stash. So you don't need exactly what I've got. Just find what you've got that works as well. I did have a few questions last week about dry time because I made so many prints. I found, I don't know if it was the paint from Arteza or what was going on, but basically it took me about 5 minutes tops for the first pull and about 30 seconds for the pull after to dry. So I had no issues with the dry time whatsoever. They dried really quick, so I was just bashing out the prints. Now, because we put all of our time and effort into making our prints and our pulls and these amazing backgrounds, we are going to follow the KISS method in this video. We are going to keep it simple. Now, either you can go with stupid, sweetheart, sexy, who knows? I had so many people suggest something other than stupid for the last one, but we're going to keep it simple. We want the focus to be the background. We've put all that time and effort into the background. We don't want to be sitting here for ages creating these intricate, complicated cards. So I'm going to share with you several, I've got 15 different cards in total, ways that you can make use of your backgrounds and create a gorgeous card. So to get started, I cut my background layers. I've got my top layer, my background layer, and then it's going to go on my card base, and they are all about 2 to 3 millimeters smaller than each other. I've also gone ahead and cut out some of the prints and I just cut them random sizes. I don't really care. I've got some fun envelopes that I can use to stick them in the end, or I can go like this and stick them on an A5 card base. So most of my cardstock has come from Lime Tree Craft and I'll link them down below. All my sort of basic colored cardstock has come from them. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that down on the base. I've then got some holographic card. Now, if you are on the search for a good quality holographic card in maybe different thicknesses, Rainbow Card is your place to go. Now, I'm going to do a little pitch for them. I really like them. I don't get paid anything by them. I make nothing from them, but they are a small business. And I know times are hard at the moment. COVID was good to all the crafters, but since the lift of COVID, craft companies are struggling. This is a company I really love. They've got loads of different kind of foil card and their holographic card is the card I use all the time. Their silver and gold are cracking as well and I use those in my videos. So I'll leave a link down below for you for their shop. Terry, the owner, has graciously given all my subscribers 20% off your first purchase, so that link will be down below with the code. He ships to Europe, Canada, USA, Australia, and New Zealand. So do go ahead and have a little look on their website. They are fantastic. Now for this card I decided to go with my recent collection. This is my first ever collection that I launched. The video for this will hopefully be in the description box if you want to check out the products that I got to create. Now my video originally was not intended to be all about the dies that I got to make and produce, but I ended up loving it because the first technique that we're doing is we're using a big die to sort of go on the background of our prints. And thankfully, all the dies that had come out last month are all really nice and big. So that's what I'm using here. Now I've gone ahead and glued that holographic card onto the white card, but sometimes what happens is the glue seeps out and you get a little bit of glue on top of your holographic or your metallic foil card. All you need to do is take a microfiber cloth and just gently rub over the top a little bit firm, and all that glue will stick to the cloth and you'll have the beautiful shine come through and you won't have any of that sticky mess. So top tip, use a fiber cloth and just wipe up the glue. Now, I've had these stickers in my collection forever. I don't even think they're available anymore. I bought them years ago, but I wanted to have some sentiments. I didn't want to do any stamping. I want nice, quick, easy cards. So a quick die cut, a quick little sticker, and we are good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and pop those first two words, live and yours, nice and flat, using the sticky that's already on the back of them. And then I decided to use some foam tape to pop dreams up off the butterfly a little bit, so it just stands out just ever so slightly. Now you can see that holographic card. The beautiful thing about holographic card is it absorbs the color around it, so it always matches whatever you use. Now again, I'm sorry, I'm using the dies. I feel bad because I'm using all the dies that I got to design with Craft Stash. However, I'm using them because they work really well with these backgrounds. They take up a huge portion of the background without allowing the background to shine through. So I love that. These are my dies layered up. The first one is using ombre. The second is just using a color and white. And I picked a color that coordinated with the cardstock I had underneath, or the colors of acrylic paint that we used. Now this is my favorite Arteza pen. I have gone through 2 boxes of these pens now. My husband uses them, I use them, the kids use them. They are the best black pens I've ever owned in my life. I'll link them down below for you. I love them. They are fantastic as well for tracing your die cuts. So I wanted this to have a bit more of a grungy look. I wanted that flower to pop out a bit more. So I went ahead and traced both the flowers with my black gel pen, and that way it stands out a lot more. Now I did try tracing it with a normal pen when I was on holidays so I could start going ahead with making things, and it just didn't work. It was catching the paint and it wasn't picking up. So these pens, they just flow and they're really nice. I use the Card Making Magic stamp on the left to do the birthday wishes going down the card rather than normal across the card kind of look. And this is my finished card with a little gem in the center of the flower. And I loved how this turned out. It was a 6x6 card in the end. My second card, I took some strips that were left over from projects. I had some holographic card as well as some teal glitter, non-shed glitter card. And I just glued those in strips down the side of the card and slapped that panel on top of it with some foam. And then I heat embossed using a white pearl from Wow on the bottom of my sentiment. So that was really nice, really quick and easy. Now the next kind of card we're going to focus on is using big stamps. So have a look through your stash, find all those big stamps that you've got in your stash that are quite solid. If they aren't solid, you'll see what we'll do in a second. We're going to color them in. But the more solid, the better. Now just to point out as well, when you are stamping, you want to make sure when it's acrylic paint, you are using heat embossing only. You can go ahead and use ink, but you are not going to get the impression to stick. It will slip, it will not dry. The acrylic paint stays almost plasticky, so you are really going to struggle to stamp on it. However, if you heat emboss, you will get your image to be crisp, clean, it'll be dry instantly, you won't have any mess. So in all these cards with all my stamping, I am only going to use heat embossing just because it will make sure that my cards are beautiful, they will stay nice and pretty. Now going backwards, I wish I hadn't mounted all my card bases, but I was trying to be efficient, so I thought I would mount all my card bits together. This one I did slightly crooked, but I thought I would go ahead and mount them all together. That was a mistake because when I heat emboss, the heat gun kind of lifts that tape a little bit. Now if you're watching on the screen, I'm doing my little Natasha foot trick, which is to stick sticky on all the edges, pull off the middle one, slightly lift all the corners of the edges, and then you can line it up over that little base if you've got a tiny little edge and pull out those tabs and you will have the perfect looking card base. Now I wanted to share with you how great I got this centered because that often doesn't happen, but also the texture. Now I had a few people comment that I used too much paint when I was doing my pulls, and I'm totally in agreeing with that because it's slippy slidey all over the place. But the texture on some of these is amazing. And you'll see my pictures at the end. The texture just feels so cool. I absolutely love it. That slightly thick, goopy paint feeling is awesome. So I've gone ahead and stamped that first image, and I'm going to now heat emboss it with some gold embossing powder from Alina's shop. I will do my best to link all these again down below, but I may forget, and please do shout if I do, because it is really difficult and I'm really late tonight with my video. It's already gone past 7 o'clock and I'm still doing my voiceover. So I've set that, I'm heat setting that embossing powder now, and you can really see that shine pop. But I felt like that image was great, only if you tilted it on the side and looked at it in the light. So I'm going to come back to that card in a minute and you'll see what I do to finish it. Now I decided actually to get the colors right and to find colors that worked, I would pull out all my embossing powders that semi-lined up with the colors I used of that acrylic paint so that I could kind of mix and match. I had some metallic ones out, I had some normal ones out. But white was my best friend. White was probably the best one because I used white as my base for my cards. So that way when I heat emboss, it kind of ties it in with that white and you get this pop of color. So I did this one and the previous one and I thought, hang on, these weren't as solid as I thought. So let's color them in. My Arteza Expert pencils are probably my favorite coloring pencils. They feel like a wax crayon in a sort of pencil crayon form. So they go on really smooth and they're really easy to color with. So when I want to color, I choose these ones. Now I know they have changed the formula over the years. I don't know what they're like at the moment, but I only got these a couple of years ago at tops, maybe a year ago. And I love them. They color really, really easily. And I'm not doing any like fancy shading or anything like that. And yes, a teal leaf isn't really realistic, but I thought it went with the colors that were already in that card. So I went with the teal, the tealish blue. And then I stamped just a note to say on the top in white pigment powder. And that kind of finished off that card. But when you look at it in real life, the color really pops off of it and it looks really gorgeous. And here's that first one all colored in. You can see that pop of color really shining off the card, and I did use 2 greens and did do a tiny bit of shading. You do have to be careful with pencil crayons though, because when you're coloring over, you may take the embossing powder off if you scratch over top of the embossed area, so be careful with that. Now these two I thought would be perfect for the new textures stamp, the Mariposa, I think is how you say it, butterfly stamp. I thought that would look gorgeous on both of these. So I decided to go ahead and use that stamp to stamp on top of these ones and heat emboss again. Again, the heat emboss is really, really important because it's not going to stick to that acrylic paint. So make sure that that's what you're doing. I've got my awesome little stamp platform here, and what I did was I took one of the cutting mats from Craft Stash and I just cut it up and taped it using some clear sellotape into my stamp platform, so I had a sticky base that would hold my cards and I don't really need the magnets then too much in the stamp platform. So I did one in a sort of copper color from Alina's shop and the other one in the white color. Now do be careful when you're heating it. As I said, it does peel up slightly. I wanted to do a few thank you cards, and I had this stamp set that I bought a few months ago from Craft Stash, and I loved it, and I was thinking, oh, I want this to be really random with all these thanks on it and thank yous and things like that. And so at first I thought I would peel them all off and stick them on. Then I had the genius idea of, why do I need to peel them off if they fit my card base perfectly? We'll just use some removable adhesive and stick the whole sheet of stamps onto my stamp platform. I've seen Jennifer McGuire do this before, and every time she does it, I think, that's genius. Why don't I do that? So tonight, I remember that tip and that technique, and I'm just going to take my whole entire sheet of stamps and just stick them straight on so I get a whole background which says thank you. Now this one I left as is. I just stuck it onto a card base. I didn't add anything more onto it. I just loved how it looked with that slightly coppery brown metallic background. I absolutely loved it, so I left it at that. Now I did a couple more. I did happy birthday, and then I did another thanks one, and I pulled out this die set that I've had in my stash for a little while now, and there's 2 of them I think. They're really gorgeous little labels, and they all have a background label to go with it, so I thought I would take another scrap of one of my pulls that was in the same colors, and I would die cut out the top in that and heat emboss on it, and then stick it over top of some of my holographic card. But then, when I was digging around my stash, I found this thank you die that I've not actually used yet, and I bought ages ago. So I did one with thank you on the top. The other one I just used the holographic card, folded it in half, and made my card base out of the holographic card. My thank you card is just a piece of white cardstock with thank you on top. And I got these gorgeous backgrounds and really simple cards. Now I kept all the strips left over from cutting up all my card bases, from cutting up the layers. I kept them all. As you know, I've got a strip jar on my desk and I have an addiction to keeping all these little strips because I like to play with them in the end and do little simple things like this where you just kind of place around some of your scraps and make up a really fun background that you can use to kind of emphasize your little top panel. So I stamped out the enjoy instead of the sorry, which I showed you earlier on when I was showing my stamps. And I decided that I wanted something like enjoy because that could be, you know, if I give a thank you gift, I could use that. If I give a birthday card, it kind of covers a lot of occasions. And I thought if I pop that up on foam, it stands out just a little bit more on top of those little panels I stuck down. And I didn't have to do any cutting. I just stuck it all on and trimmed it off. The second one, I thought, let's just pop it straight on and we'll leave it as is because it looks great. We did all the effort with the background, stamped a gorgeous stamp on it. It really doesn't need more. You don't need your cards to be complicated. You don't need them to be amazing and out there. You have made the card. The fact that you have made it is what's going to warm someone's heart. It doesn't need to be this all singing, all dancing, all chiming, interactive card. It can literally be your art on a card, done. And I got 15 cards done this afternoon, Saturday afternoon, and I had a great time with myself. And I could have carried on. I could have made some more. I do have some more videos coming up. I have at least 2 more to do with all these prints that I've got for you. But it needs to be simple. If you get stressed out and you do too much work, you're not going to do any more. You're not going to carry on making loads more cards. You're not going to have a big bundle of cards to give away to people or use. It's just not going to happen. You're going to be too stressed out and you're going to be trying for perfection. But actually, if you keep it simple, you will really enjoy your time. So on that note, if you enjoyed tonight and you enjoyed hanging out with me, please do make sure you subscribe and like my video, and I would love to see a comment from you. I try really hard to reply to every comment, but don't always succeed, but I will read every single one of them. If you've got ideas for what I can do with my prints in the next video, if you have any ideas for doing some mixed media journaling, pop them in the comments below. If you would like to see a mixed media journaling session with this book here, do say so in the comments because that is one of my plans for one of my next videos. I hope you enjoyed tonight and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Bye.